I'm Sasha Elenka, co-writer and producer on the Reconnect America podcast. This is Rail Bites, where we highlight some of the gems of what we are learning from our guests on the main show. Today, we're hearing from Knox Ross, former mayor of Pelahatchie, Mississippi, and current chair of the Southern Rail Commission, in conversation with Solutionary Rail Director and Reconnect America host, Bill Moyer. The Southern Rail Commission is an interstate rail compact between Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. It was originally formed by the U.S. Congress in 1982 as the nation's first regional rail commission. It has since evolved into a vital force for stakeholder engagement and advocacy for the expansion of rail service in the region. Most notably, the Southern Rail Commission has played a key role in securing the restoration of passenger service along the Gulf Coast 20 years after Hurricane Katrina wiped out the infrastructure on the route. If you want to learn more about this project, I highly recommend you check out Railbite number 1 with John Robert Smith. In today's Railbite, Knox tackles a question that will be familiar to many of our listeners, but which is only becoming more and more crucial to address in our present moment. Namely, the question of whether passenger rail can and should be expected to make a profit. The answer, according to Knox, requires us to dig beneath the surface of transportation enterprises that at first glance seem to be profitable. Whether one looks at airlines, trucking companies, or Brightline, the one privately owned intercity passenger rail line currently operating in the United States, all of them depend either on public subsidy or on additional business ventures in order to remain profitable. This, in Knox's view, is where government has a role to play in securing the vital needs and interests of the public in areas where the private sector cannot be expected to do so. And passenger rail, at least in many cases, is one of these areas.
There's no transportation system, whether it's roads or rail or air, none of them pay for themselves. None of them do. And none of them. And, if the airlines had to pay for TSA and the air traffic control and all the FAA money that goes into paving runways and rebuilding airports, you couldn't afford a plane ticket. Highways, the Highway Trust Fund obviously does not pay for all of the maintenance of our highways in this country. It doesn't, but we all see this as an important part of how the country operates, and we see that we need to do this. No one argues that. But when it comes to trains, it's just always been a little different. The best you can really hope for with trains is trains covering what we discuss as the above the rail cost. You're not ever going to have any kind of system that's going to pay for the above the rail and the capital costs involved with the provision of service. Some of the Virginia services don't have to pay anything in and the Hiawathas have been in that position in some instances where the states do not have to pay in because the fare costs cover and other revenues that they generate cover the above the rail cost. So what they're looking at in those instances is maybe taking that money and investing it in some capital improvements instead of the money they would have spent to do those things. But I've been in government a long time, on and off. I akin some of that to the same people saying they want to run government like a business. Government is not a business. A business is in the business of making a profit. Government is opposite. A government, its function is to take the money that they took basically by coercion from me and you and everybody else, the taxpayer, and use it as efficiently and effectively as possible. And everybody can have an argument over what government should and shouldn't do. I got that. But that's the basic function of government. I'm taking money that I sent in that I probably wouldn't send in if I didn't think I'd go to jail. But I want you to spend it to take care of things that allow me to go do the things I want to do. That's not business. That's different. And it's a lot of times hard for successful business people to make that transition into government because it's backwards.
Yeah, and the benefits of the dollars spent on this infrastructure, whether it be a freeway or an airport or a railroad,
right?
It seems like you all are the experts in making the case that actually pays a lot of dividends to the communities. And you're not going to get a private entity to come in who can't recover their investment at the fare box or maybe through some related real estate
Well, and that's the Brightline model. It's a real estate play. I mean, we went and wrote it. I mean, met with the people that run it, which is it was very educational, and they run an extremely well-run railroad pasture line. I mean, if you haven't ridden it, you should, because it is well done. I think it's done better than they expected, but I don't think they had any intention of making any money running trains. They had every intention of making a lot of money developing some real estate. I wish every train in the United States was like that, but not everyone has real estate development as a part of the deal where they can make the money to pay for it.
That was Knox Ross, former mayor of Pelahatchie, Mississippi, and current chair of the Southern Rail Commission, in conversation with Solutionary Rail Director and Reconnect America host, Bill Moyer. Thank you to Oda Proda for the theme music. If you like what you heard in this Rail Bite and think more people should hear it, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also support this work by pitching in and getting involved at solutionaryrail.org.